Okay, so
we're back.
yeah, so we're back. And we didn't get into this before, but I think it's crazy if we don't acknowledge it that Shannon just passed. I for one am so thankful that we've been doing these conventions together. And it's funny, like conventions are never anything that I had done before. Like I completely steered clear of them. And up until the last like year and a half, I literally hadn't done one. I showed up to one of these 90s con things and Ian had like a suitcase full of pictures and all this merch to sell. And he was like, "Where's your stuff?" And I was like, "What stuff? What am I supposed to have?" Yeah. Like I literally had no idea. And he was like, "Dude, if you want to make money doing this, you got, so he schooled me on it all. But one of the things that, to me, that was so positive coming out of that is that we all got a chance to be together. And we got a bit of that when we were doing the reboot in Vancouver. But these conventions, it's been great also because it's us really kind of stripped down. You have these like 3-day weekends that are just insane. And so you're just sort of holding on for dear life as you're in them until they're done, because they're just like, the schedules are all over the place and you're going out to a table and you're selling yourself and you're doing this whole song and dance thing. It's so weird. It's so weird to do, but like seeing you and Shan like really come back together again. You were such an important part of her life. And, I got to be on the outside and witness it. And I saw you guys laughing in a way that I've never seen you laugh with anybody else that I've seen. And you guys had such a special relationship and bond. And for her to find that and experience that again is, I'm so... her relationship with Ian becoming so strong when we were doing the reboot and we'd go out to dinner, and it was just to see these relationships that were so strained. I mean, what we went through, I think it lent itself to personalities clashing. It just did, because it was so much. It was so big. And then Shannon was exactly what you say is so intimidating sometimes. Like, she was called a bitch for it because she would unapologetically stand up for herself and speak what her truth was, and wasn't concerned with how everybody else viewed it. But she wasn't ever mean, or at least what I experienced, mean in doing it. Like, she was just a strong... I used to say this all the time, like, if a guy was that way, they would be, have a great business head and they're, my God, they're so impressive. But because she did it, she was labeled a bitch. And that was fucking day one. And every interview I did, people be like, "Hey, so how is it with Shannon?" Like, her name always came up, and it was always like, "We've heard she's such a bitch." And I was always just defending her because I knew her, and I knew your relationship was so...
I mean, the three of
amazing to watch.
Offset, we used to always be together, like,
oh my God,
and have the best time. So yeah, you would know that better than anyone. But I am grateful for the conventions, and I am grateful for this last year that I was able to have with her, because she hasn't changed.
No,
She stayed true to herself. But I was able to view her, hear her, and see her.
And appreciate her. Yeah.
In a whole different way. Because back then, it was, it would get in your head that everyone's like, people can't say that. They can't do that. They can't. And she would always be telling me, no, she would stand up for me. Always. And, that was my safety. She was my safety blanket. I
would have to think, though, that at the same time, like, if if you standing up for yourself was not easy to do, then there was a part of seeing her do it that was a bit like intimidating almost, and was scary to watch, and
Yeah, well, the outside noise of that example is not appropriate,
Right.
you know? So you have to even more be the other way. And it's just, it was so confusing at a time when your life's confusing anyway because you're a teenager, you know? Your brain, you know? You're just like, who do I want to be? But who does everyone else want me to be? And anyway, in the last year, when we started reconnecting, she would grab my hand and we'd be walking through the convention, and she's always super nice to people, but she'll be like, we have to get somewhere, you know, we have to go, you know, and back then I would have heard that and been like, oh gosh, does anyone see her as mean? I want to like protect her. Like, I don't want them to think she's a bitch. She's my friend. But now as an adult, I was able to hear how she spoke to people, and I'm like,
it was impressive.
and it's impressive, and she's strong, and yeah, just you're right, a whole different appreciation. And I'm so glad. There's not often times in life that you get to come back around and get that second chance with somebody. So you kind of, you know, they leave you and you think like, oh, that's who they were, that's who I was. But it's like, I don't know.
I love that you and Shan got to experience that happened within her lifetime, where she got to her last days know, because she was so happy. She was so thankful to rekindle that and find that connection with you again, because she was, from what I experienced of her, she was heartbroken that it wasn't there. Yeah. She was, as much as she was devastated and confused and felt like she had been abandoned, and everything that went on with the show, and then everything that went on with Charmed, she really seemed to realize that it wasn't her. I think for a while she was confused in that, and she felt like, God, did I, was I too abrasive, or was it? And rightfully so. I mean, I don't know how you could not, when you're let go from two shows that you were literally the star of. It's like you start looking and going, God, am I the common denominator here?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I need to, instead of pointing at other people, point at. So I think for her, there was such a big experience of peace with you. I know with Ian, I mean, her and Ian were so abrasive during the show when it was going on. And it's been so amazing to see that relationship really grow and develop. I mean, fuck, I'll miss her forever, but I'm so glad that we had the experience of her.
Me too.
And that, that you found the peace with that. And I genuinely believe that there's a part of Shannon and her voice that now lives in your head.
Yeah.
That is something, when you are experiencing things through the day, you'll think, how would Shannon handle this?
I've been doing that. Yeah. Yeah. And it gives me that. Yeah.
I did that a lot when Luke passed.
I understand.
Luke was that voice for me.
Yeah.
Luke was the one where I'd be in a situation and I'd go, fuck, how would Luke handle this? And it was a massive catalyst for me in growth and in change, because it really meant something to me. And I knew at the end of the day that the existence of Luke brought joy to so many fucking people. Like, such a gift to have him in your life. And Shan was the same thing.
Yeah.
To me, Shan was, looking back on that, it's like, man, and I've known her forever. Like, I've known Shan since I was like 11 years old. We've known each other.
Forgot about that.
Way before
I
90210
forgot.
started. So when I saw her on set the first day, I was like, oh my God, holy shit, we're here. We're doing this together. This is crazy. And then we did the pilot and it was like, good working with you. Like, you know, this will never go on, but this pilot was fun. So yeah, like which is why, like I always had an understanding and an appreciation of Shan, and we always had, like, I genuinely felt, like you said, she always had my back, always. And so to me, I was like, I'm always going to have her back, always. I'll tell her if I don't agree with something, and we would have discussions about things that we didn't agree with. We didn't agree with each other politically in a lot of ways. There were people that we didn't agree with, and things that were said but we never took it personally and then stopped being friends because of it. It was like, and I learned genuinely from her, like, it's okay to disagree with people. That's fine. Because fundamentally, I knew where her heart was and where my heart was, and the love that she had for me and vice versa. So it wasn't threatening. I didn't feel like, oh my God, if we disagree, she's judging me, or it's changing her opinion of me, or, oh, this is the beginning of the end. Like, I never, ever felt that with her. Losing her was super hard for me. It has been, in a different way though than it was losing Luke. I think because Luke was so sudden, I just never in a million years, I was like, what do you mean Luke passed? Like, no fucking way. Shan was like, it's something that was living in the back of my head, whether I wanted it to or not, of like, okay, make the absolute most of this time, because you never know when it's gonna be done. Doesn't make it any fucking easier.
Yeah, how has it been for you?
Yeah.
And grief hits everyone in a different way, and like I'm pausing in my head because I'm like, well, I don't feel like I deserve to have this amount of grief.
do.
Like, we just reconnected over a year ago, but she's ingrained in my soul. We grew up together. She was my best friend, or my teen. There's, I don't know. I got, and this is all obviously a repression of different emotions. I've lost a lot of people in my life, and I feel like my grief and my mourning, Shan passing, has hit me harder than even, I hate saying this, like our dad passing in the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably stuff I'm still not dealing with emotionally. But also, Shan is the first person in my life that's passed that I was able to go back and have that conversation. And it was uncomfortable, that first conversation with her and I. And we moved past it, and we cried, and we really, like, maybe that's why the grief is hitting me harder, because I was able to have closure, not closure, because you never want closure with someone.
But now that things are good, it's like, oh my God, I don't get to now do this.
The memory
for a
of
while.
that.
Like, this
Yeah.
is it. Everything got really fucking good again, and now you're telling me like that's just my memory of it. Like, I don't get to build new memories in that way.
Maybe, I don't know. Or it's just not dealing with everyone else that's passed my life, dealing with them. And we did. I don't know. I'm having a real hard time with it.
How did you feel with some of the social media tributes to to her. Like, I know I was, and maybe not rightfully so, maybe in a petty way, but I was really affected by people paying tribute to her that I just felt it was disingenuous from some people. Like, I had a real like gut issue
I struggled with that as
with
well.
that. It's hard because there's a part of me that's like, you know, you were never around caring how she was doing. So I like, don't try and tag yourself onto then this stage. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve to be able to act like you and Shan had something and now it's lost and it's crushing for you because you didn't. I know. I spoke to her 3 days, 4 days a week. So like we talked about everything. I knew about everything that was going on in her life, all of her relationships. Like, we talked about all of it. So it drove me insane to see anybody trying to portray that the relationship was more than it actually was.
The day I found out, the morning I found out, when you found out as well, like, I couldn't help but go up on social media. That was just, and see, and I think during that time, I wanted to respect what I was going through and I didn't want to post. It was the furthest thing from my mind.
Right.
But I did feel like and in regard to Shan and a lot of things in life, sometimes with respect to our history together, I kind of look to you to see if we're on the same page or see, you know, and with Shan, like, you were the closest with her. So I definitely look towards you to be like, is it okay? And I know we've discussed this, like, it's okay to post, is it okay to tribute? Is it like, what is the right thing? But it definitely got hard for me and the fans, that was the good thing on social media, is to see the outpour of how loved she was. I was just
Can't walk into a fucking grocery store right now without seeing
That
her
took
on the
me
cover
back.
of something.
That impacted me. I did, because people were writing me, and I felt a little bit guilty. I was like, I
Right.
don't know her that well. I've had a relationship with her and knowing her, but it's not like we were hanging out all the time. But reconnecting with her on the podcast, and that was special for me to have that time with her. But to see the outpour, so many people were really touched by not only Beverly Hills 90210, but her. I mean, that was remarkable.
She shared
Yeah.
the toughest thing
Yeah.
that you could possibly share, the toughest experience, and her goal was to bring everyone along with her and to be like honest with it and truthful with it. And we were talking about that, just being emotional. It's, people appreciate that. That's human nature. When you feel like, okay, I'm not alone in sometimes pain, in experiences, and like, it's, you know, when you level the playing field,
mm-hmm.
people respond to that. I've found in a real, like, genuine, loving, kind way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always amazing to me that always came out of everyone's mouth when we were at the convention, and people would walk up and Shan would be at the table 4 tables down, but it was always like, oh my God, she's so amazing.
Yep.
Like, people had amazing things to say about her. And it kills me that for so many years, she felt so misunderstood and so attacked. And there was so much venom being spewed in her direction. And I'm so glad that she didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
That she didn't go out with that experience. You know, she went out with the love and the praise that she deserved. And she earned it.
Yeah, she did.
So, Shan, I know you're still watching. I'm not going to smell a pipe or anything, but I know she's...
I'm going to go have some hot chachos for Shannon. Remember those?
What?
Do you remember the hot chachos when we went to her house? She was wearing her white V-neck, I remember, and then she had the metal bowl, and she would get nacho cheese Doritos, and she'd pour them into the bowl, and then she got the shredded lettuce and the hamburger meat, and she was cooking it up, and then she put like cheese and salsa, and we had hot chachos.
I remember her Frito pie, like, and then she'd make that and put it back in the Frito bag. No.
My God.
Oh my gosh. Now I do.
You remember? I think
Now
it's
I'm
like
seeing it. And
The
it's-
one time I ever went to her house, and you brought me, and
yeah,
then
the
she
one
was
like
like,
off of Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she's like, I'm going to teach you how to make my favorite. She's like, it's nacho cheese Doritos. Just wait. And I was like, really? And she's like, no, you don't understand. And then we were like, you know, the Doritos you
Yeah,
needed?
totally.
They'd poke in your mouth, and you'd be like,
Right.
oh.
Roof of your mouth.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh my gosh, of
It
course.
was so good having you.
yeah.
I love you guys.
And I
me
love
too.
the fact that people got to see that bit of Tori that I know, that Randy knows.
So now I'm gonna take that
Because
little
it's an
bit
amazing
and show
one.
them this.
Yes.
Exactly.
Please.
Tori 2.0.
Imagine.
Tori 2.0.
Yeah.
What was it called? Oldish Boot Camp.
Oldish boot camp.
Done. Done deal. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.